Chapter 4. The Excellence of Devotion. Sutra 25. Satu karma jnana yogebhyo vyadiktara. The path of devotion is superior to the path of action, karma yoga, the path of knowledge, jnana yoga, and the path of disciplined contemplation, raj yoga. There are 4 paths that lead the aspirant to the Lord: the paths of devotion, knowledge, action, and disciplined contemplation. In this aphorism, Sage Narad tries to establish devotion as the highest path to attain him. A devotee is greater than one who relies on penance, intellect, or purposeful action. Become a devotee, and the greatest of all devotees is one who worships me with firm faith. Bhagavad Gita 6.46-47. Neither yoga, sankhya, performance of social duties, scriptural study, nor renunciation can captivate me as mature devotion can. Srimad Bhagavatam 11.14.20. Yoga here is the path of Raj Yoga. Sankhya is one of the 6 orthodox schools of Hindu philosophy, which does not believe in the existence of a god. Many spiritual masters place great importance on the paths of action, knowledge, or disciplined contemplation. Yet in the scriptures, there are numerous examples which confirm the superiority of devotion. 1. The path of action. The Bhakti Sandarbh, section 99, reveals the uncertainty and misery involved in attaining the fruits of this path. But in the case of devotion, success is assured, and the devotee experiences happiness even in the initial stage of devotional practice. In a conversation with Sut Maharaj, Sage Shaunak says, "We have been performing fire offerings unto the Lord for so long that our bodies have turned dark from the smoke. Still, success is not assured. But you are giving us great joy by blessing us with the intoxicating and sweetest honey from the lotus feet of Lord Krishna." Srimad Bhagavatam 1.18.12. In the case of a fire offering, yajna, there is no assurance of success, because there are many possibilities of making mistakes whilst performing the ritual. Therefore, success is in doubt. In the above-mentioned Srimad Bhagavatam verse, one should understand that the uncertainty and hardship pointed out, specifically in relation to the fire offering, actually applies to all other forms of action, where action means performing tasks to please the Lord, so that He will fulfill personal desires. Also, in the Brahma Vaivarta Puran, Lord Vishnu said to Shiv, the Lord of Ignorance and a Vaishnav, "People certainly attain me if they want me." In Kali Yuga, it is futile to take refuge of social duty, thinking one can attain me thereby. The lives of such people are wasted in Kali, but not so with those who take refuge in me. Kali Yuga is the name of the present age in Hinduism, also known as the Age of Demise. It is the last of the 4 great ages, Satyug, Dwapar Yug, Treta Yug, and Kali Yuga. This can be understood by a story from the Kartik Mahatmya of the Padma Puran. Once there was a Brahmin named Vishnu Das, who lived in the kingdom of Chola. A Brahmin is a priest of the highest caste. The Chola Empire was one of the longest ruling dynasties, primarily in southern India. He always offered pure and loving worship to the Lord. The king of Chola had a competition with Vishnu Das to see who could attain the Lord first. He prepared many sacrificial offerings and performed many ceremonies for the Lord. Yet the king could not attain him. Thereafter, he gave up on sacrifices and asked his priest, Mugdal, to advise him. The king said, "I have made so many offerings, given charity, and done so many other things to compete with this Brahman. But he has already attained a form like that of Vishnu, and is now being taken away to Vishnu's abode, Vaikunt." Here, Vishnu is an incarnation of Lord Krishna, and not the devotee Vishnu Das. Speaking thus, the king stood in front of the sacrificial fire and spoke the following words 3 times. "Please grant me unwavering devotion to Vishnu, Krishna, in body, mind, and speech." Speaking thus with great humility and taking shelter of exclusive devotion to the Lord, he offered himself unto the sacrificial fire and gave his life up. Upon doing so, he immediately attained devotion. In the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu 1.2.246 to 247, Lord Krishna says, "The wise devotees do not accept social duty as a devotional practice. One should take refuge of such duties only until one has developed indifference towards them, or until faith arises for sharing stories about me. Therefore, one can conclude that Lord Krishna is not pleased merely by sacrifices and acts of charity. Devotion alone is the cause of his pleasure." 2. The path of knowledge. This philosophy states that knowledge need not be taught because it is already present within. Knowledge is merely covered by ignorance. In other words, one is unaware that this universe and everything that it contains is just an illusion. This false impression can be removed by the practice of self-realization, where the self or the soul merges with the Supreme Soul, or Brahman, by meditation. Brahman is a Lord without a form, also known as the Absolute. Therefore, spiritual masters of the path of knowledge support their philosophy by quoting the Bhagavad Gita 5.15, where Lord Krishna says, "Knowledge is covered by ignorance that bewilders the living beings." However, when Lord Krishna says that ignorance covers knowledge, he actually means that a person loses the ability to make proper decisions because he does not have knowledge of himself or external knowledge, and thus he is in a state of confusion. In this instance, knowledge of the self needs to be taught, and this knowledge is gained by the practice of devotion, which opposes the argument made by the followers of the path of knowledge, Jnanis. In reality, when one starts to analyze the understanding of the Jnanis, many questions arise. If the self, or the soul realized in Brahman, is full of knowledge, then why does one question who one is and what one's true purpose is? Just as darkness can never cover light, ignorance can never hide knowledge. Darkness is nothing but an absence of light, and ignorance is nothing but an absence of knowledge. To cover something, the covering agent must have positive existence, and darkness and ignorance are not positive entities. Moreover, in the Bhagavad Gita 4.39, Lord Krishna says that a man of faith who attains knowledge, Jnana, becomes peaceful. If this knowledge was already within man, there would be no need to attain it in the first place. In the Bhagavad Gita 7.2, Lord Krishna declares to Arjuna, "I will now impart this knowledge unto you." Again, why would the Lord waste his time if Arjuna's soul already possessed this knowledge? The Lord removes ignorance by giving Arjuna knowledge of his soul. Lord Krishna speaks of knowledge and ignorance as part of his illusionary energy, Maya. O Uddhav, both knowledge and ignorance, which cause liberation and bondage to the human beings, are two primordial energies created by my Maya. Srimad Bhagavatam 11.11.3. Scriptures often state that knowledge gives liberation. Here, knowledge is to be interpreted as devotional knowledge, because although one can acquire objective knowledge about Him by reading the scriptures, the Lord can be attained by the practice of devotion. After knowing Him, one should practice devotion. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. According to the Jnanis, the universe is a matrix of illusion or a dream. In simple terms, a fruit consists of seeds, shell, and pulp. If one rejects one of the fruit's constituents, then what parts of the fruit determine its real nature? If one wants to know the weight of a fruit, one must weigh the seeds, shell, pulp, and all other components that make up the fruit. The Jnani effectively rejects the existence of all elements of creation and only accepts the Creator by insisting that everything except Brahman is a dream. But to define the universe as a dream is not accurate. In fact, it is a reality which is temporary in its nature. For example, if creation is a dream and a person commits murder, he is not punished for it, and no one else is affected by his actions. But in this world, when a person kills, he is punished for it, and the death has an impact on those connected to the victim. One who follows a path of devotion does not deny any element of the world, because one's Lord is a creator, and He exists in everything. Devotional scriptures use the dream analogy in a slightly different context. They use it to illustrate the temporary nature of this world. By drinking the nectar of your story, the hearts of the devotees are purified. They attain enlightened understanding of you, achieve dispassion towards all material things, and easily reach your eternal abode. Others conquer their lower natures and attain you through meditation, but this is very difficult. Whereas a devotee attains you simply and painlessly just by serving you with love. Srimad Bhagavatam 3.5.45-46. Therefore, the scriptures praise the superiority of the path of devotion above the path of knowledge. 3. The path of disciplined contemplation. Yog means to yoke or to join. In Raj Yoga or Ashtang Yoga, the word Ashtang means the 8 limbs. In other words, the 8 stages, where the physical practice of postures and breathing techniques are a small aspect of the overall path. The goal, or the 8th limb, is the union of the soul with the Lord. Traditionally, the sages and seers perform these physical exercises in order to prepare the body, heart, and mind for sense withdrawal, concentration, meditation, and thereafter union with the Lord. The mind and body are purified by the performance of postures, asanas, breath control, pranayam, cleansing techniques, kriyas, and meditation, dhyan. Initially, one practices the yams, the restraints, and niyams, the observances, before progressing on to the physical aspects of Ashtang Yoga. This path was traditionally practiced for the sole purpose of spiritual satisfaction. If this motivation is absent, it is not technically Raj Yoga. Yet this path is still not superior to devotion, and the reasons are explained by Lord Krishna to Muchukun. O King, a person who is not a practitioner of devotion tries in various ways to control his mind, but cannot overcome the craving for sensory pleasures, even through breath control and other practices. Thus, his mind often reverts to focusing on that which attracts the senses. Srimad Bhagavatam 10.51.61. Therefore, to attain the Lord, the path of devotion, above all other practices and actions which do not serve him directly, is superior.